talk about the Vikings that are no longer this season.
All right, man.
Oh,
Hey, we could talk some Vikings, man. What you think about the season, man? I know it was.
Well, I'm a 25-year season ticket holder.
Oh,
I've only missed 4 games. I've
oh
only missed
man.
4 games. I've only missed 4 games in 25 years. Um,
jeez.
this year was the craziest year I've ever seen. With 13. Obviously, everybody knows 13-4, and we're
Yep.
the number 31 or 32 worst ranked defense. And yeah, it showed Sunday against the Giants.
Mm.
So you're diehard. To say the least,
Oh
this
yeah,
man is a diehard. What he just gave us
I'm a.
his resume.
I got pictures of 450 different Viking players through the years.
Whew, man.
Ooh,
So I go
man.
to training camp. I go to training camp every year and just make the most of it.
So as a Vikings fan, throughout the season, we see the Vikings kind of on a up and down. Well, not really up and down, but I mean they were winning games, but the way they was winning the games wasn't that of a team that really um showed dominance, so to speak, for a 13 win team. You would think,
Right.
in them
It was
13
we're
wins, the way they won those games, what was the hope of the Vikings fans going into the playoffs?
I mean, I'm going to speak for myself. I mean, I think the majority, but it's. I mean, with all the craziness that happened, what if we got a hot streak in the playoffs? Now the percent is not very good because our defense was so bad. But what if? You have to go with the what if. I mean, look at the Buffalo Bills
Mhm.
game. How did what on earth? The quarterback fumbling in the end zone. What's the chance of that happening? Slim to
Mhm.
zero, and it
Yeah.
happened. And it happened. So the Giants game, we were there Sunday, and the Vikings go down and score on the first drive. U.S. Bank was going ballistic. I mean, it was so loud you couldn't hear yourself think. They're screaming. I'm standing. The whole stadium's standing, and the Giants go down like nothing, like there was no fans. They made it look so easy. Kind of took the sail out of the wind out of the sails in that one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we watch, obviously, being here in Florida. We don't get a chance to watch a whole lot of Giants games because the Giants, obviously, they're not a team that people are looking at as
Right.
a big ratings catcher. So, watching that game and seeing that Giants team in that atmosphere, because listen, we knew what the Vikings atmosphere was when they played in the dome, the old Metrodome,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in the new stadium the atmosphere the same. It's the same people. So looking at that,
Yeah, it's very loud.
yeah,
Yeah.
looking at that Giants team, seeing them in person, what did they surprise you guys at how good of a team they actually were? Did you guys believe going into this game that the Giants would give y'all the problems they gave y'all, or I mean, what was the
Let's see.
the the idea of going into this game facing the Giants? Was it a game that y'all was confident about, or was you a little scared about it?
I think both. There was a Giants offensive lineman that came out in public and said he thought the last time we played on Christmas Eve day, that whiteout at stadium, that wasn't even loud. It was. So guess what? The fans were asked to be as loud as they could because the Giants were saying it was not very loud in there, and it was. I think the loudest since the Minneapolis Miracle that night that the Vikings beat the Saints.
Yep, I
That
remember
was the
that.
loudest I've ever heard. My ears hurt for about a week. So that stadium was not that loud, but it was pretty close to that game, Minneapolis Miracle. But I thought the fans did an outstanding job of trying to give all the support to make the Giants. But the Giants didn't. Not one false start. They made no mistakes. They took advantage of our defense. I mean, that's what a team should do. I mean, I'm sure they went home back to New York laughing how easy it was because it was 431 yards total offense against us.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I saw guys on the Vikings that just seemed like they were out of place. Our defense was unorganized. It was just, I thought their Giants defense is bad too. The Eagles will destroy them. But I thought it's gonna be like a high-scoring game because both defenses are terrible, but the Giants they made the better of the play. So you give them credit. I hate to say that because I'm a fan of the Vikings, but our defense just didn't show up Sunday, and I left kind of disheartened, but it kind of not surprised either. I mean, our defense was 7 yards off the line of scrimmage. If you look at the field, there was always at least 7 yards for those receivers to come through, and you can't cover from behind because you're going to get beat.
Yeah.
Playing that prevent defense type, I mean, they call it umbrella defense. You're going to get beat badly, and we got beat badly. I mean, the first touchdown was a slant, easy touchdown. Saquon Barkley, the second touchdown, left side, gouge us, and no, we didn't touch him.
Yep.
So all other touchdowns are pretty easy. And it's, as a fan, I got to be honest. I mean, yeah, I came in pumped. I thought for sure we're going to win. And, the 49ers would be the next opponent. I didn't feel too good about that, but I thought we could at least get one win. It's a brand new coach. Nobody expected us to do that well. 13-4 again. Who knows? Could we get lucky in the playoffs? We had to really get lucky, but we got to. Next year will be tough. We got to rebuild again because there's 4 draft picks next year. We normally have 12 to 13, and we're 19 million over the salary cap.
Ooh.
So there'll be some major changes coming Minnesota way. Yeah, they're talking Harrison Smith, Dalvin Cook, Thielen, Desarius Smith, potential Danielle Hunter, maybe all casualty.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings got to work their magic with money, but right now we've had at least 10, 11 picks every year since I can remember, and this year it's 4. It's 1 first round, and I think it's like the 3rd or 4th round. So they're going to have to trade some guys to get picks. The Detroit Lions are the team that scare me in our division. They're going the right way.
Yeah. Detroit is early before the season ended, we was talking about the Lions, and I was like, if the Lions, they mess around and get into the playoff, that's a team that you don't want to play because they seem to put it all together. And when that offense, for everything that everybody had to say about Jared Goff just a few years ago, that offense is prolific. Just they got weapons everywhere. They throw the ball all over the place. Very efficient. They can score points with anybody, and that defense got nasty real quick. And
Aiden Hutchinson was the man.
Yeah,
what a man that kid is.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast. He's a beast, and that head coach. I always liked him from the day he got there because being a former player, sometimes you say the coaches are too emotional, but this man is not that far away removed from playing the game, so.
Yeah.
Those players can relate to him a lot, but a lot more in the locker room, and the way he coaches is more relatable to the way football is played today, and I was just hoping that the Detroit Lions stay with him and not gave up on him so quick like they have in the past with coaches, and it paid off big time, man. So
I don't. They played us earlier this year. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I think going into next season, that's probably going to be the team that everybody's going to be picking in that division.
For sure, I mean, again, I'm a huge Viking fan, but you got to look at what's coming up in the Lions. Their coach he's the real deal. You want to play for a guy who's he's just a one of you. But he's a leader.
Yep.
He's not gonna. He's got to step up. I mean, they played us earlier this year at US Bank Stadium, and they probably should have beat us. But I don't know if you remember that game. But they went, I think, 5 or 6 times on 4th down and made every one.
Yep.
And then the last 4th down, they decided to kick a field goal and missed it. And then we went down and scored a touchdown to win it.
Yep.
So we got lucky there. But all year was just bizarre things for the Vikings, and normally we don't get that kind of luck. The double doink.
Yeah.
Saints game in London, double doink. Like, what the heck? I don't know. It was just, as a fan, I just loved every week because you didn't know what the heck you're watching. all of a sudden 30-0. I was at the Colts game, the Colts game was 30-0, and the fans booed
that game
the
was crazy.
team off the field, and then they come back and win it. Biggest comeback in history.
Yep, that game there was crazy because I was I forget what I was doing. I think I was busy and I didn't get a chance to see the whole game. But when I saw the score, I'm like, oh, this thing is over. There's no way.
I know.
There's no way they're coming back. And then like, a quarter later, I get a call and it was like, dude, did you see the Vikings game? I'm like, what you talking about, bro? The Vikings was losing by 30. There's no way they won that game. It was like, yeah, they won. I was like, what? How? How do you come back in that short of time down that many points?
I look at the Dallas game when they played the Colts, and Dallas scored, I think, 33 in the fourth quarter on them.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Or if we scored 2 touchdowns, I kind of thought we might have a chance. But again, I mean, the 30 points down, that's just shouldn't be achievable, but it was. Justin Jefferson, unbelievable year. We had no running game this year, very little running game. Cook had no holes. So between no running game and no defense and still winning 13 games, it's just a bizarre world that you can't make up.
No, definitely. Weird season for the Vikings. I mean, they was reading off like some numbers, like I guess the plus minus of the team, and no team had ever won 13 games with I forget the exact number it was, but they was basically minus on the season. I know
-5, I think it was.
Yeah, so I was like
-5.
Yeah.
Here's another stat for you. Maybe you know this. Sunday against the Giants, the Vikings are the first team in Super Bowl era history. It was 47-0 until the Vikings' first time to ever have a quarterback throw 80% completion, no turnovers, and we weren't sacked and we lost.
Bizarre.
First time in NFL Super Bowl era that a team has lost with those kind of stats.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
So I do have to ask you, and what is your honest opinion of Kirk Cousins?
I like him a lot. I know I'm in probably the minority. People are going to base it off the last game, but I know the thing on his shoulders, he can't win the big game. I know his accuracy is crazy good, but yet, he throws ungodly amount of yards, but like the 4th and 8th, the last play game, he throws 3 yards. That's where he gets hammered. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm for him. But I don't know what else chance we have right now.
So you being for him, that crazy contract that he got.
Yeah,
were
that's
you
too much
okay?
money.
Okay.
No. Nobody in God's green earth is worth that money. I don't. No. These guys get millions of dollars. Baseball, football.
Mm-hmm.
But if they get it, more power to them. I mean, people are paying them. It's their fault, not ours.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, see, the reason I was asking is because it is well documented that I am a huge Kirk Cousins fan. I actually live up here in Michigan, so I got to see him play a lot at Michigan State, and yeah, I think he's a good quarterback, but when they gave him that contract, I was like, yeah, that's a little too much. And now, do you think with now, do you think with the salary cap situation that you guys have, do you think that he'll renegotiate?
Well, I was watching a press conference today. The GM and head coach had a press conference today, and they both, they're going to say it. They want him back. Cousins said he wants to be here. I guess one thing on Cousins, the guy took a beating this year, absolute beating back there, and he never got hurt. Our line I don't know the numbers offhand, but he was the number 1 NFL quarterback in the league that was hit the most. Every time he threw it, he got crushed.
Man.
And the guy's strong. He's durable. So, I mean, how can you not like a guy who is just absolutely got to be sore after a game? But yet he's throwing balls to Jefferson, Thielen, KJ Osborne, tight end Hawkinson. He's got so many weapons. If he could just get like 2 seconds. But I don't know. It's totally subject to Minnesota that will not be. It's going to be 50-50. I'm a Cousins supporter. I guess I like what he did for us. The last play of the game is unfortunate against the Giants, but there should have been way many more other things should have happened before that came down. I mean, we had 4th and 1 in inches. Cousins, quarterback sneak gets it, but we had a false start. A receiver dropped the ball on 3rd down. I mean, people always look at the last play of the game. It's easy. But what about the rest of the game, the mistakes we made? So, I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I think, I don't think, obviously, Cousins gets that bad rap of not being a quarterback in the clutch and not winning a big game, so to speak. But the guy's been, everywhere he's played, he's been a productive quarterback and been very good. So
Yeah.
you can't. It's a team game. You win, lose.
Yes.
That way. And
Agreed.
a lot of times, Kirk
yeah.
Cousins has put up, great numbers and still lost the game. I mean, but to say, oh, he's not good, or he can't clutch up in the biggest moments. I don't believe that because, he's shown that he could make every throw he makes. He makes the plays in the clutch. It's just somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, and a lot of the times, his teams just come out on the losing end of these games, but it's not because of him.
No, and I'll take it back to 1998. That was the first year of my season tickets. Vikings and Atlanta Falcons in the NFC Championship game. I was there. And yes, Gary Anderson missed a kick, but look at Robert Griffith dropped an interception end zone. Randy Moss dropped the ball. But it all comes down to people only remember Gary Anderson missing his first kick in 2 years. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
There's many more mistakes made. I mean, I was at the Saints game against the Vikings at Superdome. I went down there. Fire thrown across his body. But look at all the fumbles we had. We should have beat the Saints easily that day. But we didn't.
Nope.
So, again, everybody remembers the Seattle Seahawks. Our kicker missed it wide left, and Seahawks knocked us out of the playoffs.
Yep.
We had many other issues before that kick. So, people, I think it's every team. You're always going to remember the last play. What about the other plays that could have helped you win?
Yeah, and that's kind of that's kind of my mindset when a lot of people they always talk about the last play of the game, and I'm always that.
Yep.
Well, what about all the other plays in between?
Yep.
You talk about okay, defensively, you hold up for 4 quarters, and then in 3.5 quarters in the last 5 minutes, you don't make the plays, and you end up losing the game because the defense didn't get a stop. Well,
right.
A lot of people say they'll turn around and say, well, that's the offense fault. Well, the offense, they got the lead back. Defense didn't make the play. But what about everything in between? You got to look at all those little things that add up to the end result.
Team win. It's a team game.
Yeah.
Look at the Dallas kicker. Monday night. Missed 4 extra points. He's been so solid for him.
Yeah. He had only
people
missed.
Are harping on him.
Up to that point, he missed 3 kicks all season.
Yeah.
Luckily for
Look at our kicker, 61 field goal against the Giants.
Yep.
Record and then the next week he missed 2 against the Packers.
Yep.
So I don't know. They're human beings. They paid a lot of money, but yet they make mistakes. And I don't know. Again, you can't blame. It's easy to blame Cousins for the last pass of the game, but man, we had our defense. If they could have stopped him at least once, maybe twice, and instead of false starting on a fourth down, catching balls that were thrown to you. It's just so many aspects of a game that it's fun to dissect.
Yeah.
Long off season to think about what's going to happen next year because we got a first place schedule: 49ers, Bengals, Eagles.
Ooh, brutal
start. Yeah, brutal. we got first place schedule.
Ooh, that's gonna be tough.
I think we get AFC West and NFC West, I believe. I can't remember what it is, but it's gonna be tough. Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, Chiefs.
Yeah, that's gonna be.
We'll see. I mean, I love football. It's just I never played a day in my life, but I just love football. I don't know. I just really into it.
Yeah, that's okay, man. You don't necessarily have to be a player to love it. So, I mean, there's many more people like you that hadn't played, but they love the game. They students of the game. They understand the game. Just as much as somebody that did play. So I don't ever.
We can't make our teams win or lose.
No, you can't.
We still got to go to work tomorrow. We still got to go to work tomorrow. Get a paycheck.
Yeah.
Some days I wish I could quit work, but
you wish you could have
after a loss,
those summer days where after a bad loss, you could just call in and say, "Hey, man, my team lost. I need this day. I need a recuperation day." Yeah. You can't do that.
I stopped by McDonald's after the game and had a Big Mac. I felt better.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, again, I get teased at work about it. Your Vikings let you down again. I can't say they didn't, but I'm sure glad I go every week.
Yeah.
My wife and I are very faithful. I mean, we do that skull chant. It's fun. It's just fun. I mean, it's expensive to eat and drink there, so we eat before the game, so save some money. But it's just fun to be part of the fans. I mean, 66,000 screaming Sunday afternoon was so fun. My voice hurt.
Oh, I bet.
And then we watched the Giants beat us.
I've never
again, my life.
I've never been a part of a playoff atmosphere. I had season tickets for about 7 years with the Bucks, and doing those 7 years was probably the worst 7 years you could possibly be a fan because they lost every year. They didn't even have a chance at a playoff, berth. But hopefully one of these days I get a chance to experience the playoff atmosphere. I've been to Lightning games and stuff like that, but not football.
It's crazy. I mean, you have 32 teams and only so many make home games, and the Vikings got one of the home games. So, you have to appreciate it, even if they lost. But at least, I don't know, the home game it's a chance to help your team with the crowd advantage. And I thought the fans showed up as good as they've done all year. I was really proud of the fans. But again, the speculation will be this offseason is really going to be fun to watch. There's so many questions about who will take a pay, who will restructure a contract, who will leave. I read today Danielle Hunter potential trade, which I don't know. I wouldn't be very happy about that, but again, they're so strapped with money.
Yeah,
I don't like that 3-4 defense. I don't like the 3-4 defense. So just either with Donatel, I'd rather. I don't know. I just didn't seem to work. Obviously, it didn't work.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I think the 3-4 defense works, but you gotta have the right type of players to run that defense, and if you don't, you get killed. And a lot of teams, you look at Pittsburgh, you look at the Ravens. Those are two teams that when they run that 3-4, they got the horses everywhere to run that 3-4 the way that it should be run. But not everybody, for being a copycat lead, don't nobody, they don't look to see what they're doing to, what type of players they drafting to bring into that mold of that defense. But, for the Bucks, Buccaneers run a 4-3, Tampa, 2,
Yep.
style of defense forever. That's all we've run. We've never been a 3-4 franchise. And then, the last, 3 years under Todd Bowles, we're running this 3-4, and I just feel like it's a lot of people that's just, playing out of position. It doesn't work that way.
Yep.
You can't make guys play out of position in the 3-4, because in the 3-4 defense, it's about physicality. And there's a different type of football player that you need in the 3-4 opposed to a 4-3, because all the responsibilities on the front seven aspect of it changes. Even from a cornerback standpoint, you bring guys to blitz, you got to make sure those guys know how to get there, and they got to be able to tackle well. If you don't have those guys, you're not running. You can run the 3-4, but you won't be good at it, because it's a dog type of defense. You got to have dogs on the defensive side to run that 3-4 the way that it need to be run.
I agree 100%. Like Danielle Hunter, even though he got 11 sacks, he just seemed like not the same Hunter. Him and Desarius Smith, standing up on the line of scrimmage. Hunter to me is more of a hand in the trenches and just go.
Yeah.
Eric Kendricks didn't have. I didn't think he had a very good year this year. Harrison Smith, you didn't hear their names much.
Nope.
The normal guys, the Kendricks, the Harrisons. I mean, I hardly saw Harrison blitz once this year. So again, the system. They're saying Donatel didn't have the players to run the system. Well, then why even try it?
Exactly. If you don't have the players to run the system, then you should have just stayed status quo with what those guys do well and let them go hunt.
Yeah.
Instead of changing the system, and you expecting the same production from these guys, and they're all playing out of position. It doesn't make any sense.
Looks unorganized out there.
Yep. And I've had a lot of questions with my team about that same thing in that 3-4. I don't think we have the right dudes, and we'll see what they do. But both our teams are sitting home; they're booking vacations, but we still get to watch great football the rest of the playoffs. So I think the field that is left on the AFC and the NFC, I think is going to bring some really good games the next couple weeks, regardless of who wins.
I'm pulling for Bills and 49ers.
Bills and 49ers. Okay.
For the Super Bowl. I mean, AFC's, they're loaded. Chiefs, Bengals, and that's me tough. The Bills. Those three are really good. I mean, Dallas and Philadelphia and 49ers. I think the 49ers can beat Philadelphia.
I think
if it comes down to that one.
I think they can too. I think the 49ers, they're the last of the old school football teams we have left in the league. And they seem to still, they're winning the old school way. Physical, running the ball, play defense. They can throw the ball. Don't get it wrong now. If they need to, they can throw it. But they know what they do best, and they do it better than anybody else. And I still love the fact that they still use a fullback in the running game. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know when the lead blocker became obsolete in the running game, but I love a team that can line up two in the backfield with that fullback and just come get us. You know what we gonna do? Try to stop us. That's what that says.
We'll take you back to training camp in August. The Vikings, San Francisco 49ers came here to train with us 2 days. So I got to watch the 49ers and Vikings go at it. Man, the 49ers, even in practice, they were rough. Very physical team.
Yeah.
You saw it right from the start. So
yeah,
they got a good team there.
I like what they've done in San Francisco, and no matter who's at quarterback, they stick to what they do best, and that's the sign of a organization that's got their foot in, and they know what they do, and you're not stopping them. We do what we do. We coming. Try to stop us. We used to be that way under Tony Dungy. you know what we're gonna do, try to stop us. And a lot of, we've won a lot of games, never got to the big game under Tony Dungy, but we won a lot of games playing that style of football. And
Yeah, you had a Viking quarterback win the Super Bowl,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Brad
my man,
Johnson.
Brad
cool.
Johnson, baby.
Yeah, sure. I was a big fan of him in Minnesota.
Yeah,
as well as Tony Dungy. Dungy was here on our staff.
Yep.
And so was Mike Tomlin from the Steelers. He was here.
Yep.
So we lost some good coaches.
Hey, so you can say that you guys had a part in the Buccaneers' success back then.
It's all good. All good. I just football 365. There's never an off season.
Yep. Well, man, hey, I appreciate you calling in, man. Listen, don't be a stranger, man. It's always good to have somebody coming on the show, talking about.
Yeah, I'm about an hour south of the Twin Cities where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah, man. Just we here every week, man. So don't be a stranger, brother. Appreciate you calling.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Have a good night. Have a good week.
You too, man.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Todd Walking Sticks. That name sounded familiar. I think me and him a long time ago, me and him spoke a long time ago. This is some years back. But I remembered him as soon as he said Minnesota Vikings because, that's who he's a fan of. But appreciate him calling in. It's been a minute. Didn't recognize the number, but that is always good. To get somebody on. It kind of took us out of our element because we was getting ready to go ham. We still getting ready to go ham. We got a lot of show left. So, hey, Buccaneers, you're not out of the woods. You're not really out of the woods because we're coming. Hey, like Deion Sanders say, we're coming. We're coming, man. We coming. Rat Pack Sports Show, we're coming. I'm gonna take Deion Sanders' chant and apply it to us. We're coming. Because it's coming. Matter of fact, it's coming now. Like we're just gonna go ahead and dive in the trench. Right now.
All right, here we go.
And get in this because we got a lot to tell you. We got a lot to talk about. I got a lot of people to call out. And we got a lot of time left. So here we go, man. William.
Yes, sir.
You first of all, let's start it out by saying Rat Pack Sports Show. We've always been a show that bring it real. We don't sugarcoat. We don't really care about how you feel. We don't care about your feelings. We don't care, how long you've been a fan, or we don't care that your favorite player is this guy, that guy. We don't care. We just bring it, and we don't have sources, so you never hear me say, well, my sources. If I say my sources, it's nobody in the media. It's nobody even thinking about. Like it's our own people. William, Sean Naylor, Nicholas Lane, left field correspondent. We've had a good history of not really being wrong about a lot of stuff that we talk about over the years. So yeah, we do our homework. We dig, we read different articles and stuff like that. But we figure this stuff out on our own. We can't pick up the phone and call a close friend of a player. We can't call the GM. We can't call, a representative of the head coach or a player, nothing like that. I can't pick up the phone and call, Pewter Report or Rick Stroud or anybody like that. I can't do nothing like that. I don't even know if I would want to, because the game of football is very simple. It's about X's and O's. It's about executing and having the players, and I can see all that just by watching the film. I don't need to make a phone call to a source just for them to tell me that somebody played bad. I can see that on the tape. So we're here. Rat Pack Sports Show about to go ham. And hope y'all heed these conversations we about to have, because when it get down to free agency and draft time, we just gonna sit back and say we told you so. Because we've been telling people we told you so for the last 5 years. We told you that if you didn't build your offensive line and keep your offensive line strong, that it didn't matter who you had under center, it don't matter who you got at wide receiver, don't matter who you got at tight end, it doesn't matter. Foundation. If you built the house and you didn't put the foundation house down before you built the house, what the ground gonna be? Dirt.
Exactly.
If you building the wall, you got to put that foundation down. You got to put that footer down on that wall. That's where the rebar go. So how you gonna have an offense or a running game when you ain't made the investments in your offensive line? See, a lot of y'all caught up in these skill positions. Many years ago, this team called the Denver Broncos had like 3 or 4 different running backs that just constantly kept running for 1,000 yards. It didn't matter who was running the ball. They always ran for 1,000 yards. At the end of the day, that offensive line was one of the best offensive lines in the league year after year, year after year after year. They were one of the best offensive lines in the league. That's why they were able to do that. They didn't rely on John Elway. They didn't rely on Jake Plummer. They could make the plays, but when it was time to eat clock, they could line up and run you out the field. And along with that, you got your play action pass that becomes more deadly because your linebackers got to respect the running game. So the name of the game on defense is to apply pressure. And if your offensive line can't protect the quarterback, put anybody back there. It doesn't matter who you put back there. Just put them back there. Joe Montana, Steve Young, Warren Moon. You can put them up. Joe Namath, put them all back there. I guarantee you, with a bad offensive line, they're going to be ineffective. New age football, old school football, it don't matter. So, early in this season, and listen, everything that I'm saying, I got it on tape. So, I ain't making none of this up. I'm not saying this because of the situation trying to be right. All our stuff is on tape. All you got to do is go back and find it. But earlier in this season, preseason game number 1, I figured out what this team was going to be this season. I figured it out. And I said, I see we're going to be a team that's going to be running the ball a lot. I like the play. I like the commitment to the run, but I also saw the lack of aggressive play calling is in the passing game. This was preseason game number 1. And I said, this team is going to look vastly different this season. And people was like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I said, you didn't just see the way they called this game? Number 1, you go from an offensive mind like Bruce Arians that's all about stretching the field and putting pressure on the defense.
Mm-hmm.
To a defensive-minded coach. As a Bucs fan, you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed if you call yourself a Bucs fan and you didn't see this coming. Because for a lot of years, we had a guy here by the name of Tony Dungy.
Yep.
And he was very non-aggressive on the offensive side of the ball when it came to the passing game. He was a defensive-minded coach. We're going to play defense. We're going to run the ball. That's how we're going to win the game.
Uh-huh.
We had dudes at wide receiver by the name of Jaquez Green, Reedell Anthony. And these dudes was mainstays. They wasn't like dudes these was our number 1 and number 2 receivers before we got Keyshawn. Jaquez Green, Reedell Anthony. Those was our number 1 and our number 2 receivers. We had Dave Moore at tight end. Respect the heck out of Dave Moore. He was a very good NFL tight end, but he wasn't the guy that wasn't going to stretch the field in the passing game. He was a run blocker.
Yep.
He was a H-back. He was that dude that would go from tight end to H-back in the backfield to line up and block for Ward Dunn and block for Mike Allstott.
Mm-hmm.
In the game,
one
game
of the
was
most
played.
Versatile tight ends that we've had.
Oh yeah. Like I said, from a passing game standpoint, he wasn't gonna give you much, but versatility wise, dude was everywhere. They put him everywhere, and he's a fan favorite. Dave Moore's he is a fan favorite.
Absolutely.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal, folks. You're never going to get a defensive-minded head coach that is going to preach offensive aggression. Number 1, they're a defensive-minded coach. They don't know nothing about calling the offense. And they like to play it close to the vest. So you have to bring in an offensive coordinator that's gonna be creative in the passing game and that know what they're doing. We had it the last couple of years with Bruce Arians as a head coach and Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator. But the roles are switched. Bruce Arians not here. He groomed Byron Leftwich to be the next coming of once he decided that he wanted to step away, Byron Leftwich was going to get brought up automatically. And that's exactly what happened. You know, I'm going to treat Byron Leftwich the same way that people treat Eric Bieniemy in Kansas City. Everybody knows the offense Kansas City is running is Andy Reid's offense. Eric Bieniemy is the title. And I don't know how much of that offense is Eric Bieniemy and how much is Andy Reid. But at the end of the day, at least Bieniemy been there a while. He's been there a long time. You can't bring a guy that just retired and was only a quarterback's coach for a couple seasons and you make him your offensive coordinator with zero experience.
Yeah, no. Byron. Oh, so folks, first and foremost, let's just put the blame where it really needs to be at, and that's Jason Light. Okay.
Oh, and the Glazers. Don't leave them out. Put the Glazers in there too. They'll put them in there.
Oh, okay. We'll say top man. We'll say top management, and I'll get to them. I'll get to them in a second. When you set somebody up for success, you have got to factor in that they may not go point by point of what you set out. And this is the case with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bruce Arians did set them up for success, but Todd Bowles is going to coach his way.
Yep.
Now, with that being said, Todd Bowles has one of the same problems that a lot of coaches do have at times, and that is their inability to adjust.
Yep.
And that's what I saw a lot this year, was not adjusting. Byron Leftwich, he has a good mind. He was an okay quarterback when he played. He knows the game. He's played the game. Okay. But with that being said, I don't think he was ready to be an offensive coordinator.
Nope.
And now I put that on Bruce Arians. First and foremost, should have never have brought Byron Leftwich over with you as an offensive coordinator. He should have stayed at quarterback coach and continued to learn.
Yeah.
That's on Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians, that's your fault. You should have known better. Okay. Now, getting to the front office, we're going to start with the Glaciers.
And real quick, William,
yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have Rat Pat Sports Show NBA Insider on the line with us, Nicholas Lane as well. I want to make sure I brought him in because he's been on the line for a few minutes. What's going on, brother?
Nicky Bucket.
Good evening. Good evening, William. Good evening. It is great to be back on. I mean, I have some LeBron talk to talk about, but I can chime in this Buccaneers conversation because, you know, I have my own frustrations with watching that game Monday as well, too.
All right.
Oh,
William,
absolutely. So getting back to the Glaciers, you all have got to make a decision, because this lackluster ownership that you guys are displaying is ridiculous. You guys do not even seem like you even care about the game. If you don't care about the game, that's fine. That is perfectly okay. But if you don't care about the game, I'm not saying that you have to sell the team. Not saying that at all. But you know what? Get somebody in there that cares about the game, that knows the game. I don't care what you call them. Call them the CEO of the Buccaneers. I don't care. That
William, I think you've hit the nail on the head about your point about how the Glazers have just been. They haven't really been that great of owners for a long time. I think it's been pretty apparent. Is what I would guess. They haven't put that really do care to win. Maybe Arians was one of the few when it's come to coaching wise. Because let me tell you, they have had some really bad coaches since they fired John Gruden. I mean, they have the worst. I mean, Greg Schiano, you could not get any worse than that clown. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Nicholas Slade, Nicky Buckets. We do not even acknowledge that guy here at the Rat Pack.
All I'm saying is
we do not speak his name.
But
I'm messing with you.
Raheem Morris was obviously not ready, and now that he could be a candidate, I'd be afraid for that team because, again, I mean, Derek, he's a defensive coordinator, right? I mean, Raheem Morris is not an offensive guy.
Correct.
He fell in love with a quarterback in Josh Freeman that had his moments. I think Josh Freeman had a lot of talent and just couldn't put it all together. But he did have a lot of talent. He had a big arm. I liked Josh Freeman. I think at the start of his Bucs career, I actually digged him pretty good. I thought he was a good quarterback. But, I mean, Greg Schiano was probably the worst coach in Bucs history. I mean, and I don't know if I'm over-exaggerating that point or not, but it's...
No, you're not. Greg Schiano is a Dollar Tree Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Dirk Cutter is the most lukewarm, just middle of the road, middle of the pack. You know how on the NBA segments I talk about how certain coaches can get you to the dance. They might be the chaperone, or they might be, the one you hang out with after the dance. There's a difference between all these guys. And I think Dirk Cutter want to ride in his car to even get to the dance. It's ridiculous how middle of the road the guy is.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing with Dirk Cutter. Dirk Cutter and Mike Smith, when he was promoted to head coach and he brought Mike Smith in, I said it right here on the show. Why? There is nothing on their resume that constitutes them even being a viable candidate to be a head coach and a defensive coordinator. This whole we wanted to leave Jameis in the same system. What? He was in that system for like a year. Who cares? Like, what are you doing? Oh, well, he's getting ready to leave for Miami. Would you like me to call the U-Haul truck?
Hey, I was ready for him. Let him go.
Like, please go. Because the guy that Lovie Smith was about to bring in after Dirk Cutter was head and shoulders better, and that was Charlie Weiss. Now, Nikki, I know that we have had a conversation about him, and you brought up his head coaching thing at Notre Dame. Yes, absolutely, hands down.
Trash.
Charlie Weiss is not a head coach. He is not. He had 2 opportunities at the college level to be a head coach, and he was what you would call middle of the field. But offensive coordinator wise, the guy has Super Bowl rings on his fingers to show that he knows what he's doing.
If you want to get into coordinators in New England, I look. I know that Gruber thinks McDaniels is kind of a bad coach, but there's so many guys in the league, and our head coach is one of them, that are such better coordinators than head coaches. And I think Josh McDaniels is a much better offensive mind than Charlie Weis. I'm sorry, I believe that. I think Charlie Weis has been. I just think so.
Well, and you know what?
Todd,
He may.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, please. Go ahead and finish.
I was just going to say that Todd Bowles is obviously a much better defensive coordinator. Raheem Morris, he's more of a defensive coordinator. He's not a coach. He's not a head coach. Like DeMeco Ryans, we don't know that because he's had a limited amount of time as a defensive coordinator, essentially coaching an amazing defense. Look at Robert Saleh. The Jets' offense is all right. They're okay, but their defense is much more improved because Robert Saleh is a defensive coach.
Okay,
where they haven't focused as much on the offensive side. I mean, Garrett Wilson's a good receiver, but they're kind of a disaster at quarterback. The Jets are
right.
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to finish that. There's so many guys that should be coordinators that are head coaches, and I get that you have to be a coordinator before being a head coach. I mean, I understand that argument, but Sean Payton is a head coach. Sean Payton is a guy who can lead your team, not Todd Bowles. He's not that guy. You know, any of the other coordinators I would have named off, those guys are not those guys. Like Mark McCarthy, that guy's a head coach. He is not a coordinator. If you've had him as a coordinator, that's a luxury. He shouldn't be one. He is a head coach right now. But when Jason Garrett was there, they had. I don't know. I just don't think that you need. I know that Sean Payton won't go to the Bucs. And long story short, he won't go to the Bucs. But if you were serious about winning as an organization, you would throw all the money you can at Sean Payton. You would find a different offensive coordinator, like an Eric Bieniemy. Who cares? He's going to run a Sean Payton system, just like how Derek talked about with Andy Reid, and make Todd Bowles the defensive coordinator. Problem solved. You'll be a 12-win team in no time.
Yeah, and my whole issue, with the way Bruce Arians left was, if you want to set the franchise up for success, you do it by putting guys in a place that has a track record of success. You don't do it by trial by error. Like, Leftwich never was an offensive coordinator before. And the last stint as a head coach Todd Bowles had with the Jets, we saw what that was. And does it help Todd Bowles' case that only 3 years after he left the Jets, look at where the Jets are and look at where we are. I would say,
look at the Bucs offense, right? I mean, they're like 16 points a game.
Yeah, 16 points a game.
They were like under 20 points a game this season. When I saw, I believe it was in the first, right before halftime, the Bucs were on like close to midfield. It was like 4th and 5. They're down,
he punted
12-0 or whatever the heck.
Yep.
And he punted.
Yep.
And he punted. And that's Todd Bowles. That's what he does.
Yep.
Like, he wants to play the game at 10-6 the whole game, and that's what he wants. But I'm sorry, in today's NFL, just like in today's NBA, you can't play 95-90 every single night.
Nope.
You can't do it. So you have to, adjust.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't. That's where Todd Bowles should not be a head coach anymore. I'm sorry, he just shouldn't.
There's been too many times. There's been too many times this season. And okay, the regular season, I get it. But we're in the playoffs now. It's one and done at this point. You're down.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to find a spark to get some type of momentum going into the half. Your quarterback wanted to go for it. Brady wanted to go for it. I'm pretty sure the rest of your offense was like, "Hey, let us stay out here," because you don't know a first down in that situation might have led to something. But the play is so close to the vest to the point where you won't even allow a Hall of Fame quarterback to go for 4th and 5 in a playoff situation. It just lets me know that you don't really have the pulse to be a head coach. You really don't.
Stage is too big.
Stage is too big. Like if it was Bill Belichick, even he would have went for it. I mean,
and he's conservative.
Well, yeah, because I mean, really and honestly, guys, what do you have to lose?
The game.
Who cares
That's
if
it.
you don't? Well, we lost the game anyway.
Yeah, I know.
So what do you have to lose?
You know what's hilarious about that he did the punt there? The defense couldn't stop Dallas.
Nope.
At all.
Nope.
Except for that, the first possession, the opening possession, right? So,
and that was by luck.
So, why are you punting for field position when your defense can't stop them? It's just,
not only that,
that's what doesn't make any sense to me.
You're at the 50-yard line. So technically, I think he ended up pinning them deep, but you punting from like midfield. So the punt is only going to be worth about 35 yards, 35, 40 yards, which you might as well take your chances and go for it. Like y'all said, we weren't stopping Dallas. After those first, 3 drives, it was like they were pitch and catch. We weren't stopping them, and there was no call he could make to stop Dallas because we were getting dominated up front. We had no pass rush. And at the end of the day, if you can't get to the quarterback, game over. And we couldn't get to Dak. We couldn't even touch him. He was passing out of a clean pocket. He didn't really even have to use his legs. And
think of this move also in this perspective. If you're 4th and 5 close to midfield and you don't get it, you're actually serious about trying to get the ball back. Why would you go pin them down, use your timeouts, and Dallas scores anyway? Field score faster, and you have a chance to still have the ball with a little bit of time left. Like, as much as that's like a negative perspective, but you use up all the rest of the time of the half too in order to think about trying to get the ball back. Like, I get it, like you can get it in a better field position to start, but you can also just, if you can't stop them, then try to get them in the game by going for it. You don't get it, oh well, Dallas scores faster with a shorter field. Then you have like 40 seconds to try to score again instead of like 10. I don't know. I feel like there was multiple angles where everything was wrong on that punting.
Yeah. I agree, man. It's just, when that happened, I just said to myself, man, this is over. Like, you don't even see the sense of urgency in this situation to go for it. And that's been the whole season. Like, you realize you're not playing with a second or third year quarterback. You're playing with a dude that knows what to do. Even with a bad offensive line, we should be able to pick up a 4th and 5.
I mean, the only time in the game that they actually showed urgency was when they recovered the onside kick and went for that deep shot to Mike Evans, which of course he dropped because that's our luck. But that's the only time the entire game they showed any kind of urgency. It's kind of laughable in a playoff game. It just, as much as I love Dungy, but that reminded me of getting our butts kicked in Philly in 2000 and 2001 in those wild card games. It just so reminded me of that. No offense, get completely dominated, and anytime you get any kind of opportunity, you drop a ball, you get a holding call, you get a defensive holding call to get the first down. I mean, anything you do to shoot yourself in the foot, that's classic Tampa Bay football, especially when it matters, except in certain times where they've won, of course. But when they take that one deep shot, that was their only time that they had urgency the whole game. I mean, as much as I want Brady back next season, I mean, I hope he's back.
Well, yeah, because this the thing with a quarterback like Brady, why choose to be a conservative offense? Why choose to not be aggressive when you got one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it throwing the ball for you? And yep, he's 45, he'll be 46, but guess what? He's still better than over half the quarterbacks starting in the league. So if you're not going to take advantage of having that guy under center, then yeah, don't bring him back. Don't bring him back because you're wasting his time and a lot of fans' time that would rather see us score 25, 30 points a game and not have to rely on the Swiss cheese defense all the time to win those games than to sit there and watch a team settle for 17 points a game and then rely on a defense that can't get a stop when it ever means anything. That's
guys. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's what the season has been. Like people always say the defense, we only won these games because of the defense. Well, the offense still had to score the points, and then it's been games where when we needed the defense to make a stop, Washington, they couldn't get off the field. Carolina game, the first game in Carolina, they just traded their franchise running back. They pretty much tanked it. They started a third string quarterback, and you get out there and you can't stop them. So
I'll just sum up. I'll just sum it up here. Brady somehow goes to the Raiders, or if he retires, Bowles stays at quarterback at head coach, and they just sign, let's say, a Garoppolo. I will just go into hibernation, and I'll still be a Bucs fan, but I expect them more to be 5 games to win. It would just be so disappointing. When we talked about when Brady got there, we were like, thank God. This is the greatest thing that's happened to our franchise in a long, long time. And if we squander these, we don't have Brady back and we don't try to still be relevant and try to still win and keep this window open, then it wasn't a waste because we got a Super Bowl, but it's a waste because now for the next 5-10 years or so,
rebuilding.
We don't have a path to be good.
Nope.
And that's where I will be very disappointed to see that, if that were to happen. That's why, William, I advocate so much in chat that we have to keep Brady. I don't care if he's 45. I don't care if he's 50. It doesn't matter. You need to keep someone who's actually competent upstairs. When we have to go back in time and think Jeff Garcia, Brad Johnson, and some of Sean King, and that's where we get our best quote unquote quarterback play that could rely on the defense and they could do enough just to win the game, right?
Yeah.
Because Josh Freeman was a slinger. Josh Freeman was a different quarterback. But to me, if those are the three guys we have to think about since 1999, come on, guys. I can't do this. I watched Chris Sims on TV, and he's talking about how a team needs to do this or it's like, Chris Sims, you are terrible. You are a terrible quarterback. Get out of here. Chris Sims on the Bucs, just get out of my life. I don't want to deal with it. And I'm sorry, Derek. I don't know what else to say. I mean, this was a team that signed a backup to a multi-year deal in Josh McCown, and they're saying that he's a good head, smart quarterback. Get out of here. I can't deal with
Oh
this.
yeah, on Lovie Smith.
I just can't deal with it, right? Like, great, Jimmy Garoppolo is not a bad quarterback. I get it, but if we're going to be looking to score 13 points a game for the next 2 seasons, that's what you get. Like, I'm sorry, that's what you get. Like, I think Brady with Evans and Godwin is actually, like, Brady likes them. I think Brady likes them. And, of course, I mean, shoot, Evans will throw Marshawn Lattimore across the Superdome if he had to protect Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to see that there's some kind of bond between them where maybe that would be hard for Brady to walk away. They feel Evans has a long-term deal, and Godwin got signed to a deal already too. So,
yeah,
I mean,
and I think
you see where I'm going with that.
Yeah, and let's be real. Evans and Godwin next to Randy Moss, probably 3. Randy Moss number 1, and then Evans and Godwin, them 2 of the 3 best receivers Brady has ever thrown the ball to. I mean,
better than Wes Welker.
Yeah, well, Welker was an animal himself. Welker was in Amendola. That's probably round out his top 5. And
what about Edelman?
Well, that's what I mean, Edelman. That's what I meant, Edelman, not Amendola. Edelman. Yeah, but I mean, even Edelman. You look at Godwin is pretty much playing what Edelman's spot. That is what Chris Godwin is doing.
But he's better.
But he's better.
More talented.
He's more physical. He's faster. He's got better hands. If anybody wants to question who's the number 1 receiver on this team, you didn't watch that game on Monday. How many times did Chris Godwin go across the middle and get absolutely blasted?
And his ribs. It looked like his ribs and his stomach was hurting the entire game.
And get up, go right back to the huddle, and go right back across the middle. Sometimes he had to lead the game, but when he came back in, he went right back across the middle again. To me, a number 1 receiver does it all. They don't just run up the sideline. They don't just run post routes. They don't just run seam routes. That's great and all, but when you can move a guy around and do it all, put him on the outside, put him on the inside, play him in the slot, run a slant, go upfield. Don't get it twisted. Chris Godwin got speed, but the way he's used, obviously you can't really open it up when you're running slant routes, dig routes across the middle, curl routes. You don't get that opportunity to show you like really opening it up. But Godwin is faster than Evans. Godwin ran a 4.44 coming out of college.
Right.
So,
that's what I was about to say. So Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are 2 different receivers.
Yeah.
So let's just get that out of the way here really quick. Okay. When I look at Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, I don't see number 1 and number 2 receiver. And I'm going to tell you why. And I just told you why. They're 2 different receivers.
Exactly. So they play off of each other.
Exactly. They are complementary. I don't want to be completely honest with you. I really don't want to see Mike Evans running slant routes.
No, he's not
That's
built like
not
that.
what no. He is a big bodied receiver. Okay, I want to see him running those post routes. I want to see him running down the sideline. And you know what? For years, Derek, me and you both talked about it, and he finally started doing it. Here, it was either last year or maybe the year before, but actually using his body, using his size to get those balls.
He probably learned that from
to get those
Godwin.
passes.
He probably, playing with a guy like Chris Godwin, who is excellent at body positioning to, in catching the ball, using his body to shield off the
Right.
defenders. That's probably where he picked that up from, because Godwin is so good at it, and he's not. Godwin is only about 6'2", 6'3". Evans is like 6'5", but their build is a little different. Evans is kind of slender. Godwin is more compacted. In his lower body, he's a little bit more. He's not a little bit more. He's a lot more physical at the point of attack after making the catch. And some that stuff has to rub off when you're looking across. You seeing your boy just run through tackles, go across the middle, make catches, catching in traffic, making one-handed catches, diving one-handed catches, reaching. The dude hands is like freaking stick 'em. He has the best hands, some of the best hands you'll see in the league. And
he kind of reminds me of Orlando Brown in The Replacements. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. The Replacements.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Okay. So, but here's the thing, and I'm about to make a very, very bold statement. We have probably at least one of the top 7 receiving corps in the NFL.
I would agree with you on that. And a lot of people, they don't like this, but here's the reality. Your 1 and 2 is Evans and Godwin, right? Your number 3 is freaking Julio. For everything people want to say about Julio and his health issues and his production when he went to Tennessee, he's not that far.
And I was one of them.
Yeah.
I was one of them. I was very critical on him. And you know what? I apologize.
He's not that far removed from having like almost 1,500 yards receiving. That was the year before he went to 10. His last season in Atlanta, he was putting up top 5 numbers. So, injuries, Tennessee was a bad system for him. Obviously, coming here to Tampa, you have a number 1 and you have a number 2. So you're not asking him to be the Atlanta Julio Jones. Where we failed at as an offense was, and Julio was hurt for a little bit, but he was healthy for a majority part of the season. He was on the field, and where we failed at was taking advantage of having those 3 guys. Too many times they would not all be on the field together.
But here's the thing. But Derek, here's the thing. And this is a point, and it's a great segue, by the way. Thank you, because this is the other point I was going to make. Derek, it doesn't matter if we have a top receiving corps. It doesn't matter if we have arguably one of the best quarterbacks one of the greatest quarterback to put on a set of pads. That doesn't matter when you don't have an offensive line. if you do
Big
not
game.
have an offensive line,
Yeah.
if he's only getting 1 to 2 seconds, yeah,
Ali Marpet retiring really changed a lot of things.
Yeah, it did. Oh, it hurt big time. That was the biggest and worst news they could have got was Ali Marpet stepping away.
Because I'll give the Bucks credit, and this doesn't happen very much for Jason Light, especially on this show. But wow, Tristan Wirfs is insane good.
Yeah.
Unbelievable draft
yes,
pick. Unbelievable draft pick. Immediate top 5 best left tackle in the league.
Yep.
Rookie? Ridiculous. That's a ridiculous draft pick. And I said on the show in the Eagles game last year when they beat the Eagles in the wild card that why are you sending out Tristan Wirfs in a blowout when he's clearly hurt and re-injure him? And that changed everything in the divisional game last year. Then we see Ali Marpet retire. Ryan Jensen gets hurt in training camp, and he didn't play the entire year until Monday night.
Yep.
I mean, they need one more year, get this offensive line figured out. Hopefully Brady's there and give some things. And there's also one thing I want to say.
Brady is not going to be there.
Well, here's the thing with Brady. Here's the thing with Brady.
William, don't say that because otherwise we're gonna be playing the Undertaker music for 9 months. I don't want to deal with that.
Here's the thing with Brady.
Oh well, then you better start queuing it up.
He's under contract.
I am not, boys. I am 99.9999% sure Tom Brady will not be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Well,
if
Brady,
guys,
Derek,
we got we got to quit living in denial.
Where's
He's gone?
Derek, if William is wrong, enter the show. If he signs a 1-year deal with the Bucks, I'm going to enter the show, and you're going to play the Stone Cold Steve Austin music, and I'm going to come out of the freaking Zamboni, and I'm going to spray beer all over William. And that's what's going to happen. So
right.
I'm telling you, William, don't come at me with that stuff. I will come at you with a freaking Zamboni of beer.
I am coming at you with it, both barrels blazing, sir. Tom Brady, I am almost positive.
Okay, so
like I said, nothing is ever a sure thing, but I am almost positive Tom Brady is not a Tampa Bay Buccaneer next year.
Here's the deal with Brady, though.
He will either be in Vegas or he will be in Miami.
Here's the thing with Brady, though. Tom Brady is still under contract, bro. Remember at the beginning of the season, he signed that extension?
No, he is a free agent, sir.
Yeah, but if he's not a Buck, we will get hit on the cap like no other.
Well, then I guess we're about to get hit with the cap.
One point on offense that we haven't touched on that I do want to bring up, and another reason why I am scared to death if we don't have Brady for next year is, remember at the trade deadline, the Minnesota Vikings made a pretty big trade. They got TJ Hawkinson from Detroit.
Yep.
Now, we have a terrible bloated contract in Cameron Brate.
Yeah.
Why couldn't we just say, hey, Detroit, you can have our 4th rounder. Oh, no, we'll swap you another pick. I don't care. You know how big of an upgrade TJ Hawkinson would be? He would be like a Gronk out there. How talented obviously
you do know
right?
who our general manager is, right?
I get that, William. I'm just saying, this is what I'm afraid of.
He only makes trades for kickers.
If Todd Bowles is still the coach next year and there's no Brady, this is the type of stuff I'm afraid of, because what if we got Hawkinson at the deadline and we gave him a 4th and a 5th, and you swap contracts and you give Hawkinson an extension that the Vikings gave him? How much better would our offense be with Evans, Godwin, Julio, Russell Gage, and you put out a Hawkinson? Okay, you fix the offensive line, maybe cut some dead money on the defense, and there you go. You got it all figured out. Not that hard.
Again,
not that hard.
You do realize who our general manager is, right?
I completely understand who our general manager is, but if
Mister, I'm going to live in denial.
I hear about stuff. With Derek and William can figure out Pandora's box and the Buccaneers' problems in 30 minutes. Come on.
Yeah, we could.
Like,
yeah.
How hard is it?
30 minutes, shit. We don't even need that long. We need like 15.
Yeah, we can figure it out real quick.
If we, Derek, if we absolutely had to just cut Shaq Barrett, right? Mm-hmm. If you wanted TJ Hawkinson, right? Isn't that like the cost of, if you had to cut Shaq Barrett, trade Cameron Brate, I don't care if someone gives me a 7th round pick for Cameron Brate, take his contract and get him out of town. And then if you got like a talent like a Hawkinson, you would gladly take that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Of course.
Because I think at the end of the day, you can find these linemen on the cheap if you absolutely had to find them. And I know that that's a very important position to get pressure on the quarterback, and Shaq Barrett actually is really good. I like Shaq Barrett. But if it's at the price to make sure that your offense is going to run like a freaking Mustang compared to a Hyundai Elantra, then I think that is
you're giving them too much credit.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm telling you, the first model of the Hyundai Elantra had no freaking juice. I'll tell you that. So I don't know. I mean, you guys. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse of what I want the Bucs to be, but then I have to come to the realization, and you have to talk me off a cliff every offseason. Is essentially how it goes, I guess.
Yeah, and I just think there's so many moves that needs to be made, and we're sitting at right now like $54 million under the cap or something like that, or not under the cap but over the cap, and you got a lot of expiring contracts, obviously, that'll bring that number down, but it won't leave us with a whole lot of relief. We got some decisions to make. We have some decisions to make. For some odd reason, Brady is a free agent, but because of prorated money and stuff like that, he's still gonna count against our cap next season, about $35 million. So, if that's the case, you'd rather have him on the team paying $35 million a cap hit for him than for him not to be on the team and you paying for him to be paying for that contract. So I'm with Nicholas, man. The guy can still play, but as well with any quarterback, you got to fix your offensive line. I said this 1,000 times. I've been saying it all season. I've been saying it for the last few years. Your foundation is important. Fix your offensive line. Don't bring back Leonard Fournette. Please don't bring back Leonard Fournette. I hate the way he run. The dude got slow feet, and he's trying to run like he's Barry Sanders or somebody. Bro, you make a cut, it take you a minute just to get back going. You're running in place. I call him Fred Flintstone because he run in place more than anything. But Rachaad White.
Hey, well, he was good. Rachaad White was terrific.
Rachaad White was the better back when he started getting touches. And I didn't understand why when Rachaad White is in and he's picking up 5-6 yards a clip, you take him out and you put in Leonard Fournette and he does nothing, and then Rachaad White go missing for like 2 quarters. It's like, come on, man. Am I the only one that's seeing this? Or we just got stupid coaches. Like the best back
I mean,
is Rachaad White. He's better in the passing
Didn't
game. He's better in the run game.
Didn't they get rid of Ronald Jones because he's slow?
Yeah, that's.
I mean, isn't that part of the reason why they would have gotten rid of Ronald Jones? So, I mean, I'm with you, Derek. I mean, Fournette had his time in the sun. That Super Bowl year, he was fantastic. He was excellent. But, you know, he's not the same.
No.
It's just what it is. He's not the same player as he was when he first came on Tampa Bay. And Rachaad White looked like, I'm going to say it, he looked like Tony Pollard out there. He looked really good. He looked, you know, somebody that could pass, you know, you could throw it to him in the passing game. He had that elusiveness like a Tariq Cohen has.
Yeah.
He could go through the tackles. He had that burst of speed, which nobody else on the team, except for maybe Godwin, really has anymore. And it was a nice change to see it, where I could see, you know, at first I was like, why did they get rid of Ronald Jones? I thought he was pretty good, and then he's kind of an afterthought now. And then where he is, I believe he's on Kansas City.
Yeah, he was on Kansas City. I'm not sure if he's on there now, but he was on Kansas City.
And then we see Leonard Fournette, you know, this season. Leonard Fournette looks similar, like a bruising back that's not very fast. And then the whole game, I was telling, you know, I had some friends over. We were, of course, watching the game on Monday, and I was like, dude, Ezekiel Elliott's so washed up. He's terrible now. And it's like you look at Tony Pollard, he's like a freaking rocket coming out of it. And I see a lot of similarities in Rachaad White. Now, Rachaad White's not a 3-down back. I hate to burst your bubble, Derek, but I don't think he's a 3-down back. But I think he's a starting running back in the league, though.
Yes, I think he's good enough to be a you know, number one, you know, split carries type of back. I mean, he's more on the smaller end, but as far as this team this year, he should have touched the ball way more than Fournette, and that's on the offensive coordinator, because this dude had game breaking ability, and from a running back standpoint, we needed game breaking ability and the ability to flex him out into a route and him make one guy miss and take it 30 or 40 yards. That's what Rachaad White was capable of. He showed it countless amount of times, but yet you want to keep going back to the barn and using reclaimed water when you got spring water. I don't understand it. I don't understand it, man. Just, I don't know if it's loyalty. I don't know. Is it Brady who want Leonard Fournette on the field opposed to White? Because the Brady I remember loved those type of backs that Rachaad White was, especially when you can use him in the passing game. So it didn't compute with me.
I got a name for you who he reminds me of. James White.
Yes, exactly. James White. That's a perfect comparison. James White. Brady loved James White. We could have used him the same way, but we kept going back to slow-footed sloth. And bro, I hate the way this man run. I hate the way he run. I don't know how many times I can say that. I don't like Leonard Fournette running style.
Well, I'll say this. I mean, if we have Brady next year, I think the division, there's still a lot of work to go for this division to be better talent than the Bucs on paper. But I think actually Atlanta does have a shot at being, not next year, but I think they at least have a chance.
Yeah. I mean, the division will improve. Carolina improve. You know, Atlanta, they will improve. They're a very young team that's kind of in the rebuilding phase. I think the Saints will make a bounce back as well. But You know,
they have Jameis. They have Jameis Winston. I can't take the Saints seriously.
well, I don't know, man. I mean, they took Andy Dalton this year over Jameis after he was, healthy enough and cleared to play. They stuck with Andy Dalton. So we'll see on that situation. That's a little, different. But my man Jay Buck, he's one of the co-founders of Bucks Life, says we need to part ways with Gage Jones. I'm guessing that's Julio, Donovan Smith, Cameron Brate, and maybe even Lenny and Shaq Barrett. I agree with all of those. I don't think Jones is going to return. He was on a small contract anyway, but Gage is making way too much money. He's making like $12 million a year. No, I think it's like 8, but it's still too much. He's a number 4 receiver. You don't pay a number 4 receiver that kind of money. That's a terrible contract.
Yeah.
Donovan Smith, as soon as a week before free agency, they need to give him his walking papers. I mean, that's how bad this dude is. You cannot bring Donovan Smith back. I like Cameron Brate, but he's Kate Otten
makes way too much money.
Yeah, he makes way too much money, and Kate Otten is the man now. So I like Kate Otten. He's better in the routes, and all Brate really was here for was his ability in the passing game because he's not that good in the running game. So getting too much money for
he's not a blocking tight end.
Yeah,
never has been.
And you know how I feel about Leonard Fournette. Get him out of here. Shaq Barrett, I think we all called that. We was on the show a couple years back when he had the 2019 or 20 sack season, saying franchise him and make him earn this contract. Do not pay him top dollar, top pass rushing dollar, and all he got is one season on his belt. Let's see if he can duplicate it, and then you pay him. Well, they didn't do that. They paid him right out the bat, and the dude ain't lived up to even half of that salary. The injury sucks, but even before he got hurt, he was the best we had at defensive end, but he still was not that good. So you got to part ways with him. You got to upgrade the defensive line. You got to get, Akeem Hicks. He wasn't good this year. And Vita Vea suffered because he didn't have nothing around him. It was him, and that was it. Shaq Barrett wasn't that good when he was healthy. Joe Tryon Shoyinka, he's decent, but he's young. He's got a long way to go. Nelson, again, he's got some development to do, but those guys are young and they're not making that much money. So you can afford to keep them on the roster, but you got to bring some horses on the defensive line in here to give us some help, because I cannot rely on the 3-4 defense where we don't have back end coverage and you still got to bring pressure to get pressure on the quarterback. So something got to change. We know Todd Bowles is not going to go away from running a 3-4. He's not changing that. So you either got to get the right dudes in here that you need, or you got to step away from being a defensive coordinator, just be the head coach, bring you in a defensive coordinator. Let him run.
He's not going to do that.
But that might be the only way.
He's not going to do it.
That might be the only way he succeeds.
Well, then it's not going to happen.
Well, hey, I'm not saying you wrong. I'm just.
Oh, I know I'm not wrong.
I'm just throwing it out there. That's something he might want to entertain. He's not Bill Belichick. He's not some of these great defensive coordinators that can call a defense and be a great head coach.
He has that Bill Belichick mentality.
Listen, Mike Tomlin is a cover 2, 4-3 guy. When he went to Pittsburgh, he said, I'm not touching none of this defense. Y'all deal with that. He put his pride in his back pocket and said, "You run."
Apples to oranges, Debo.
What I'm saying is, if you want to be a great head coach, sometimes relinquishing duties is the start. When you're trying to wear too many hats, that has a backlash effect if you're not prepared to do that. And Todd Bowles, to me, ain't that dude. He's not the guy that can be a coordinator and a head coach. Hey,
he thinks he is.
Bruce Arians thought he was. He the one that set it all up, put him in his position. So again, it's on.
And if that's what Bruce Arians thought, then Bruce Arians was wrong. Okay.
Hey, he was wrong. He was wrong about a lot. He was wrong for making Byron Leftwich the offensive coordinator. He was wrong. Listen, there was better coordinators out there than Todd Bowles when he came here.
Yeah.
So,
but that's where that whole loyalty factor comes in, and honestly, I feel like Bruce Arians felt some sort of loyalty or something like that to Todd Bowles, to Byron Leftwich.
No, I know what it
and
was.
Everything. Yeah.
I know what it is, and I'm just gonna say it. Bruce Arians want to be, he want to be this trailblazers type of head coach. So he want to have a diverse coaching staff, which is all good, but do it with capable people. Like, just don't give guys positions just because. Like, people have this problem with the Rooney Rule. Teams have to bring in a minority coach to settle for the Rooney Rule. So now teams feel pressured that they have to hire minority coaches, or they're going to catch backlash from the people that's all about this Rooney Rule. But in that process, you may not be signing the best candidate trying to satisfy the Rooney Rule.
But that's exactly what I was about to say. So here's my thing. There are a number of minority head coaches, black head coaches, Hispanic head coaches that probably should have a shot at the head coaching thing.
I agree.
But the thing is that we keep on seeing the same people
get recycled.
That exactly. And I'm kind of sitting here and I'm like, wait, what? Okay, by case in point, I believe it was either the Denver Broncos or the Houston Texans were going to interview Jim Caldwell. What? What? Huh? Why?
The Rooney Rule.
You've already seen what? No, damn that. Damn that stupid bullshit. What? What?
Oh.
What?
If you think that Todd Bowles is, laying lifeless on the field the entire game and not showing any emotion, man, you've never seen Jim Caldwell. Oh my God, that guy.
I got to see him for like 2 years when he was the head coach of Detroit. Jim Caldwell is not
right. Yeah.
as a head coach. Okay, but let's talk about some of the minorities that probably should have a shot. Okay, one of them who I was a big champion of finally got his shot. He's now the head coach of the Jets, Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
Okay, Robert Saleh actually showed me a lot. That offense did not work this past year. What did he do? He fired the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He showed me that he can adjust. The Jets are in good hands. Don't don't kid yourself. Do not kid yourself. The Jets are in good. I believe the Jets are in good hands.
I like what the Jets have has done with their team coming out of the gutter so fast. I mean, it's the Jets. Nobody expected the Jets to be this good, this competitive to the point where they're competing for a playoff spot in week 17, week 16.
There is it. Well, to me, there is only one other team that surprised me more than the Jets, and that's the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, really? So you're gonna kind of go from worst to first, because that's exactly what happened with the Jaguars.
Jacksonville Jaguars prove one thing. These managers, these owners, they need to stop looking for the what's the word I'm looking for? The rock star, the rock star coach. They went after Jacksonville, went after Urban Meyer. They went after Urban Meyer, brought Urban Meyer in, and that dude.
I told you guys that was a mistake from the start.
Well, you didn't hear me disagree with you. I just said let's give him a chance. I mean, that's it.
Give him a chance for what? Urban Meyer is Nick Saban. Actually, Nick Saban's better than Urban Meyer.
Well, Nick Saban realized quickly that I'm in the wrong situation. At least he resigned and stepped down and went back to college and not just. But my point is, coaching is everything. When you see teams like Jacksonville do what they do, you see teams like what the Jets did. You see what teams, Detroit Lions. You see what they did with their coaching staff. As a Bucks fan, what we saw this season should be unacceptable. It should be and this is from the top down. This is bigger than Todd Bowles. This is bigger than Byron Leftwich as the offensive coordinator. Now, I'm talking about an organizational situation here. Front office, scouting department, general manager. What happened this season, coming from a team that just 2 years ago won the Super Bowl, last year was a play away from playing in the NFC Championship game. To go from those extremes to this point here, where we're sitting up here talking about a team that offensively averaged 17 points a game. This from 30-something points a game to 17 points a game in the off season.
But what
when your personnel never really changed that much?
Exactly, personnel didn't really change that much, except for if JPP
it did.
If JPP and Sue meant that much to that defense, you should have paid them. You should have paid them.
Well, considering that JPP went to where for half of the money that he was making here in Tampa.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, did he have
where was it? Baltimore?
Did he have a great season in Baltimore? No, it wasn't that great. But what we need to be looking at is why aren't they assessing how important players are to our locker room? Forget what their value is around the rest of the league. Forget that part. What is the value to a player in your locker room? Like those veterans, they were leaders. Outside of Levante David,
Jason Light does not have that mentality. This is what I've been telling you guys for years now.
Bruh, what you mean telling me? Like I disagree with you that Jason Light is a terrible GM? We've been saying this.
And I'm going to say one other thing again. Tom Brady saved Jason Light's job. Guess what, folks?
Listen, he saved Jason Light's job. He saved Bruce Arians, even though Bruce Arians' job wasn't on the table, but Bruce Arians don't come back probably for another few years if Tom Brady ain't here. I don't think he makes it another couple years. He might have dropped. He might have stepped down sooner. Who knows? But 100%, he saved Jason Light's job.
Yes.
And
Jason Light is not a general manager. Jason Light is a front office guy. Jason Light has a couple of good ideas. Jason Light is an advisor guy. Jason Light is a suggestion guy. That is what Jason Light is. Okay, here's the thing. Everybody got so enamored. Oh, Jason Light was with the Patriots. Jason Light was a suggestion guy with the Patriots. Okay, let's make that clear.
He was with Arizona Cardinals before he came here.
Why do you think he got the Arizona Cardinal job?
Because of Bruce Arians? I don't know. I mean, Bruce Arians.
No, he got the Arizona Cardinal job because he was a front office guy for the New England Patriots.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the connection with the Bucks was him and Arians had worked together in Arizona. That's what got Arians here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
right.
If it wasn't for Arians, and I'm gonna give Arians credit for this. He's respected around the league, and every man that has played for him talks about, how well he is with the players, how respected he is, and how hard he works. That's great. That's great. I wish Arians would have stayed as the head coach. And part of my beef with him is why I don't look. I've heard the stories about him and Brady, and I don't care about that because at the end of the day, you're the head coach. And if your heart is in it the way that it need to be, no one man is going to force you to step away from coaching. No one person is going to force you to step away from coaching.
And that's why I don't believe any of those stories. I do not believe any of them. Not one of them.
Because as a head coach, you're still in control. You know what I'm saying? You're still in control. You still have say-so. The Glazers, they gave you that ability as a head coach. They respect the crap out of you. That's why you went from being a head coach straight into the front office. So you can't tell me that you're not going to have a voice as a head coach just because you and the quarterback got some disagreements on some stuff. Work it out. Work it out, just like they did in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur. They worked it out.
Bad example, Debo. Bad example.
No, but what I'm saying is when LaFleur first got into Green Bay, him and Aaron Rodgers was butting heads. They weren't seeing eye to eye. They was butting heads, and they figured it out. They sat in the room, aired out their differences. Aaron Rodgers told them the things he liked and what he would like to see from an offensive standpoint, and vice versa from the head coach. It didn't result in the championship, but what I'm saying is they mended they got the differences out the way, and they figured out how to coexist because at the end of the day, the common goal is we trying to win. So
yeah,
you're gonna back out and hand us a fake offensive coordinator and a defensive coordinator that probably wasn't ready to be a head coach again. Not so fast after what happened in New York, and everybody was clowning the Jets. Oh, it's the Jets. It's the Jets. Maybe it was him. Maybe it was.
And I was one of the people that said that. And you know what? And that's why I said, you know what? I don't mind us giving him a chance. But after this season, I'm seeing that it looks to me like it was a combination of both
And
ownership
yeah, and
him.
and I like Todd Bowles. This not me saying, oh, fire the man, but we've made the mistake. Now, what are you gonna do about it? Are you gonna continue with the mistake, or as an ownership, can you go to him and say, hey, we feel like it would be a better situation for you so you can focus on the team as a whole to find your defensive coordinator. Ain't nothing so hard about that.
And you know what? And the thing is that is probably not a crazy idea. It really isn't. Tom Bowles is going to think it's crazy because I'm sure that Tom Bowles doesn't think anything's wrong with the defense. He just needs other players. And while that is true in everything, Tom Bowles has shown that he can't wear two hats. And this is where you're going to separate. This is where you separate the great head coaches from the good head coaches. Is your ability to recognize and understand that, and like you said earlier, put the ego in your pocket. Okay,
you got to.
You brought up Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's been a head coach for how long?
15 years in Pittsburgh.
Okay, how many winning seasons has he had?
15.
Exactly. Why? Because Bill Cowher set him up. But here is the thing: Mike Tomlin had the mentality that, hey, I am not going to wear all these hats. I need to keep this train going. Okay, now I'm going to bring in this offensive coordinator. I'm going to bring in this defensive coordinator. Okay, we're going to get this done. And boom, what happens? He went to Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He has 15 winning seasons. He has dealt with unspeakable off the field issues. Case in point, the whole Antonio Brown, and who was that other receiver that was shipped out of Pitt, or no, I'm sorry, Bell.
Oh yeah,
Bell and Brown out there acting a fool.
The killer bees. That's what they called them, the killer bees.
Right.
And that was two of their best players.
And
Mike Tomlin saw what was happening, and he said, I'm not going to allow you guys to destroy this locker room. See you later. And this was in the middle of major contracts for both of them. I think Bell had just signed a big deal. AB, same thing.
Uh-huh.
And it was like, hey, we got to move on. And that's leadership, right? That is leadership, the way that you needed to be in a head coach. And I hope from an organization standpoint, I hope that Todd Bowles figures this thing out, and he could be in that position of a Mike Tomlin type for this franchise. That's what I want. I don't want to keep cycling head coaches.
No, I don't either. But the thing is that, everybody is so sure that Byron Leftwich is going to be fired by the end of the week. Well, I think that it should be done. I don't think Tom Bowles is going to do it.
I think Todd Bowles'
really don't.
mentality is similar to Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy was fired because he wouldn't fire a dude. But Glazers
correct.
wanted to get rid of the current offensive coordinator. I think it was Clyde Christensen, or it might have been Clyde Christensen, but they wanted to fire the then offensive coordinator. Tony Dungy
Yeah.
was loyal to him and said, I'm not firing my offensive coordinator. Okay, well then you're fired.
Well,
That's
and what really tears me up is that when he finally was like, okay, I'm going to bring in this other guy and everything like that and all that, it was too late.
It was too late.
I mean, yeah. The guy that he was going to bring in, I mean, he's with our organization now, but it's about 10 to 15 years too late, and that was Tom Moore. Tom Moore, great offensive mind.
Okay.
Well,
you just said the name, Tom Moore. You have a guy like Tom Moore on your staff. I don't know if the conversation was brought up, but Mr. Bruce Arians, you got a living legend from an offensive standpoint on your staff. Do you think it might have been a good idea to maybe go to him and say, hey, would you like to have an offensive coordinator role? You and Leftwich could be co-offensive coordinators or something. Like, I don't know if this conversation didn't happen. It might have happened, but he's still on the sideline. You see him every game walking around on the sideline with a headset.
Well,
what is his role?
Go ahead.
No,
Debo.
I'm just saying, what is his role with the team? What is he? What is
he
a consultant?
He is an offensive consultant. But here's the thing: when Byron Leftwich was offered the contract by the Jacksonville Jaguars to be their head coach, the talk is that Tom Moore was going to move into that role. But for some reason, Byron Leftwich turned that role down. He turned down the head coaching job at Jacksonville. It worked out good for Jacksonville and everything because they went and got Doug Peterson instead. Okay, but no, the rumor is that Tom Moore was going to step in to that offensive coordinator role, and he was going to have a quote unquote understudy and everything like that because the way that I understood it is he really didn't want to stay in that role that long. Now, who that understudy was, I have my guesses, but I never really heard. So, with that being said, maybe there was some truth to those rumors, but now you're at an impasse where I don't really know if Tom Moore can fix this offense.
No, what would have to happen is what would have to happen is the type of offense that Moore wants. He couldn't run it with this roster. He'll have to, he could do it with the quarterback and you have the receivers to do it, but you don't have a running back of the running backs that he's used to having. Rachaad White would have been his guy, not Leonard Fournette. And your left side of your offensive line is straight boo-boo. So you can't do his offense with
Well, I'm gonna say this in the draft this year. Now I haven't. I've only just started really looking at the draft picks, but it might behoove Jason Licht to maybe spend that number 1 pick on the left tackle.
Listen, William, and for everybody that's listening right now, and for everybody that will be listening at a later time, if Jason Light don't draft an offensive lineman with our first round pick and then another one with our second round pick, fire him at the draft. Because
No, okay.
no,
I
listen,
will agree with I'll agree with half of that because remember, man, we still need defensive linemen
I
too.
don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You need to protect the quarterback first. You can find you can get some good defensive linemen in the second and the third rounds, but you need offensive linemen like very badly. So I would draft. Jared Jones did it forever, right? Jared Jones was laughed at many years in the draft because he was taking offensive linemen in the first and the second round every year. Guess what? Jared Jones
Yeah, I know. I was one of them.
is laughing at y'all because anytime he lost a lineman, he was bringing in a number one, first round lineman, and a second round lineman was sitting there waiting behind him. So the joke's on y'all. Y'all laughing at him. His offensive line.
It most certainly was.
Yeah, his offensive line straight. He ain't worried about nothing. That's the point we need to be at. You got depth and you got a starting five and you got great depth behind those guys. So you're not worried about injury. You're set up for it. You're set up to next man up. You're set up for it. So if we take offensive lineman with the first round pick, which we better, and then they turn around and do and draft a guard with that second round pick, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because you can still find quality defensive linemen later on in the draft. You can find defense third round, second round, and then you sprinkle in a free agent or two, a veteran free agent that still got some miles on his legs. You sprinkle that guy in, and you can get away with having a not so great defensive line and still manufacturing pressure, but you can't get away with not having a good offensive line. You just can't. So to me, offensive line is more important.
Well, see, I agree with everything you're saying. I agree with it. I agree with it wholeheartedly. But what I'm saying is if he happened to use the second round pick on the defensive lineman, I would not be.
No.
I would not be upset.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be mad either. I wouldn't be mad at that either. But what I'm just saying is, if they go, lineman, offensive line with the first two picks, I understand. If they go offensive line first round, defensive line second round, offensive line third round, I'm okay with that. We got to fix this offensive line. Before we do anything else, the priority needs to be fix the offensive line. Now, that's not counting. They may do some things in free agency that helps that out. But whether it's Brady at quarterback or Trask or Gabbert or anybody else, if you come in next season and you hadn't 100% addressed the offensive line problems, we will be sitting here at the end of next season saying the same thing. And if we're sitting here at the end of next season saying the same thing about lack of protection on the quarterback, everybody deserves to be fired. Every single body deserves to be fired. Clean house.
No, and I'll tell you why we're not saying the same thing, because we actually made it to the playoff this year. Okay, here's the thing. I done already told you guys. I am almost 100% sure Brady ain't going to be here next year.
I can't say that. I can't say that with 100. Okay. Well, I can't say that because I think at this stage of Brady's career, even though he's no longer married or whatnot, why would you want to move to another franchise to play possibly 1 or 2 years, depending on the contract, however things goes, when he really likes it here, man. He likes it here. He likes the area. He likes the teammates he's playing with. You got the best wide receiver, you know, room in one of the best.
And that is the only reason that I do not say 100% sure that he will not leave.
Depending on what they do with the offensive coordinator, I know him and Leftwich, got a pretty decent close relationship. Story is that during the Buccaneers off week, the Glazers were gonna fire Byron Leftwich. Then Brady, went to the Glazers and convinced them to stick with Leftwich. A lot of people find that as a problem. Me personally, I don't find that as a problem. You know why? Because a lot of the teams that replace coaches mid-season, they're not going anywhere anyway. So if we're just gonna fire Leftwich midway point in the season, number one, who's calling the new offense? That's number one. Number two,
it would be Clyde Richardson or Tom Morris.
Yeah, okay. So number two, if you're at that point where you're firing coaches in the midseason, you're not a playoff team anyway. So, I mean, I'm okay with
Debo, we're not a playoff team.
Listen. Let me finish. But what I'm saying is, I'm okay with, staying status quo for the duration of the season, and then after the season, dealing with your coaching changes in that way, because all that is going to do is cause for more more destruction with the offense, because this new coordinator that may come in, it may be the same offense, but he may call it differently. You know what I'm saying? So now you got to get used to a whole new signal caller that might have a different idea on how he wants to run the offense. That's just another adjustment that the players got to make mid-season. So I agree with, Brady going to the Glazers and saying, "Hey, give him a chance," or however the conversation went. Brady is Brady, just like I would expect that same thing to happen with Rodgers or a Mahomes type of quarterback. Russell Wilson pretty much orchestrated that his way out of Seattle, doing that just thing, trying to make demands, and Seattle wasn't trying to hear it. So at the end of the day, you just got to do what's right for the franchise at that point. And I think the right thing to do was to stick with Byron Leftwich, and then make your coaching changes if you're gonna make them. Wait till after the season and make your coaching changes then, because making them in the middle of the season just causes for more friction and more chaos, because you're gonna get 1,000 questions from the media about what happened and why this and why that, and that's a distraction. You don't want to be answering those questions in the middle of a season. So this coming from
absolutely not.
Tom Brady, who for 19 years played in the organization that conducted themselves a certain way, no matter what.
Hey, Debo, I got it right, man.
Okay. Yeah, so
all right.
No matter what, ladies and gentlemen, that's William Graves. He's probably packing it in to a report for work, because he works overnight. So, but I'm going to keep going. I got a little bit of time left, and then I'm going to head out. But back to Brady, he's coming from an organization that conducts themselves in a certain way, shows a certain level of professionalism, and they have their ducks in a row. So for him, it might not been a good look for him mid-season to get rid of coaches. It's never good for teams to get rid of coaches mid-season. Like you should never do that. Coaches should always get the full season because they might be able to turn it around. So you give them that time that you needed for them to have to turn it around, which is the whole season. So other than that, man, I just think there's a lot of moves to be made, and we got a long off season. So we're gonna continue to come back to this. We're gonna continue to put pressure on the Buccaneers and their free agency moves and all of that, because at the end of the day, we all just want, for our team to win and conduct themselves in a way where around the league we're not a laughing stock and we're respected like all the other great organizations are. That's what we're working towards. That's what we want to work towards. So, at the end of the day, it's just, the season was a mess, and it was very disappointing to go from where we were last season to come to this point, this season where we was just happy to be in the playoffs. It wasn't like we was going in the playoffs with this chip on our shoulder where it was like, you know what, we got this in the bag. No, we limped our way into the playoffs. We had a coaching staff that played scared. They coached scared and conservative, which again, that didn't mean well for us either. So at the end of the day, we just got to be better, as an organization. So I don't know, man. I mean, as we get news, we'll feed it back to you guys. Like you always know, Facebook, Rat Pack Sports Show on Facebook, group and like page, ratpacksports.com as well. You can find information on there. And hopefully everything will be, start to look on the up and up as we get further into this off season, see what type of moves they got, what type of ideas they got, and that'll be that. But we're gonna get out of here for this week, man. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate my man Todd Walking Sticks calling in. Discuss the Minnesota Vikings. Nicholas Lane coming on. We usually talk NBA, but he came in, joined the conversation on the NFL and the Bucks. My man William Graves as well. So, with that being said, we're gonna catch you guys. We'll be live here Sunday night, and we'll talk about the divisional round and talk about those games. Results and everything of that. If you want to listen to this show, we'll have the podcast downloads on the website tomorrow. And you can, just go back and listen to it. Those of you new to the show, just stay up to date, man. Follow us on Facebook, Rat Pack Sports Show, group and like page. You can follow us on Twitter at Rat Pack Sports with a Z. And you can email us also, ratpacksports at gmail.com if you got any questions or comments or anything like that. So with that being said, it's time to head out. It is getting late, and we'll, see you guys on the flip side. We appreciate y'all, and we out of here, man. Let's Bevo from Rap Pat Sports Show. We signing out for this week. Peace.
Downtown, riding out with your best friends. Wanna have a good time, leaving the past behind. Dance like no one's watching, 'cause I don't feel like stopping. Don't you feel the bass on thumping? It's got the whole place jumping. Up and downtown, we're going all out, pass it around, burn it down. I need these nights, I need these nights, I need these nights. I don't wanna end up alone. So take me home, take me home, take me home. Won't you be my lover tonight?